Great. So welcome everybody to the webinar for the Rain Challenge Fund in East Africa. I'm gonna start with a quick introduction to the speakers that will be presenting to you today. My name is Gerald David, and I'm the Challenge Fund Manager with GRP, leading the Rain Challenge here in East Africa. I'm going to invite my colleague Jesper to introduce himself, and then I'm going to share the timetable for this webinar for today. Jesper, you're welcome.
Thank you, Gerald. I won't be speaking a lot today. Jesper Hornberg, I'm the Head of Innovation and Scaling at the Global Resilience Partnership, and I'm privileged to work with Gerald. We're more people, but I mean, you'll be hearing from me and Gerald today, but there's also Ida in the background, making sure that this webinar runs smoothly. So thanks, Ida. I'll come back to you and talk more about GRP in a bit, but very nice to see you all.
Many thanks, Jesper. So you're all welcome to this webinar. It's a 1-hour webinar whereby we'll be providing you with more information about the Rain Challenge in East Africa for not-for-profit organizations. The Rain Challenge, I will also be speaking about in details the Rain Challenge later a bit. As per the program you are seeing on the screen, Jesper will actually introduce the GRP and the work that GRP is doing around the globe. We will also have another speaker, just Christos Mtonga, who will be providing us with experience of working with GRP, but also being part of the Challenge Fund that has been conducted by GRP over the years. I will also come and provide you with more information about the Challenge Fund, and then we'll open the floor for the question and answers. You can actually put your question in the chat box, but also in the Q&A section that you can see down on your screen. We'll be able to come and answer to you, and then we'll be able to close the webinar for today. So without further ado, I would like to invite Jesper to just give a quick overview of the GRP and its work around the globe. Jesper, you're welcome.
Thank you, Gerald. Next slide, please. The Global Resilience Partnership is a partnership. We'll look at that in a little bit to see who the partners are. And I'll apologize in advance because I'm probably going to say stuff that comes on later slides as I go through this. But briefly, we want to advance resilience through identifying and scaling on the ground, as in locally led, preferably, innovation and solutions that can generate knowledge and policy, but also have that impact on the ground. That's very important. We think that resilience underpins proper sustainable development, and resilience for us is not the ability to cope with a challenge, but it's the ability to do whatever comes after coping with it is, to prosper and to learn, to adapt, to become more agile in the way a community or an individual or a household, a business for that matter, engages with the context that it finds itself in. So it's it should transform. That's critical. It shouldn't just be an ability to sort of deal with crap that's flying your way, but much more than that. Next slide, please. We basically have 3 areas of work, or 3 legs, if you want. Knowledge, which is basically the science foundation that we have because we are hosted at the Stockholm Resilience Center, one of the leading climate science institutions in the world. We have policy, which is where we gather the science and any evidence that we find on the ground working with projects like yourselves, and then we try to push that into new decisions by whoever needs to make those decisions. So it should influence the context and the environment that we operate in. Obviously, we also want to, as much as possible, be a platform so that voices from where it really matters can be heard. And we do this at various events around the world, including COP and various climate weeks around the world, where we organize this. You're now talking to two people from innovation, which is the third leg, the third area of work, which is set up to surface new innovation, support that new innovation, and then help it get to a position where it can scale. And we do that in different ways. But Gerald will talk more about that. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I can just go through these quickly. Thanks, Gerald. Next one, and the next one. Here are some of our partners. We're 60+ partners today. And as you can see, we have big bilaterals, we have big NGOs, but we also have a lot of smaller organizations, funders, a lot of partners in Africa and Asia, that we work with as closely as we can, generating knowledge products, identifying areas of need, and designing how we engage. Next slide, please. We think there is value for partners to be partners. You get a voice in all of this. You can access a lot of expertise. And when I say that, I don't mean just the expertise that sits at the Stockholm Resilience Center, although that is considerable, but it's the actual expertise on the ground from partners that are implementing things actually where it matters. That's very important. We've worked with this since 2014. So there is we would think of it as a proven method for working with innovation and incubation of new ideas. We want to connect and create as many linkages between organizations that is possible. Well, not that is possible, because that would probably be overkill, but that would make sense. So if we see, or if you tell us that you'd like to talk to someone else within our network, we'll make that connection and we'll try to curate it to the extent necessary and needed as well. We are working with a lot of really significant partners, ranging from the big funders like USAID and CEDA and so on. But we're also engaging with large private sector actors, insurance companies, large multinational companies. And we think that because of that, we have a bit of a presence and something to contribute. And if we can be a funnel for information and ideas, that's good. And to create that sort of place for ideation and working on new ideas and new areas of implementation. Next slide, please. I've already mentioned we got kicked off in 2014. We've worked with about 1,300 organizations. We have 64 partners, a pretty big social media following, which we use for the benefit of broadcasting things like RAIN, but also to highlight projects that we're working with and what they have achieved. We've also trained about 60,000 people in different things. These are things that we report back to our funders on. Please continue, Gerald. Some of the things that we've achieved, we have a lot of people now benefiting from early warning systems. That's in Asia and in Africa mainly. We've contributed to 7 million people being more supported. It's also something we track. We want to know that what we're doing is highly relevant, and we've leveraged the funding that we have raised and been able to invest in various initiatives around the world is 35 million, so quite significant. I think that number has actually gone up a bit. We've generated 1.1 million in various scalable resilience building business models to create a sustainable and lasting kind of model in place. Next slide, please. That's it for me. I'm pleased it was so brief. Gerald, over to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Jesper, for providing an overview of the GRP work and what it has achieved so far. I'm going straight to give you an overview of the rain challenge in East Africa. We will hear from Crestus perhaps a bit later. He's having technical issues joining the Zoom meeting at the moment. So rain, resilient agricultural innovation for nature. What does RAIN stand for? RAIN aims to convert seed-level innovative ideas or initiatives that are meeting resilience needs in East Africa. So we're looking at organizations that are working at the with the communities, advancing resilience in East Africa. And these actually are the ideas that are going to support mostly smallholder farmers, the vulnerable groups in East Africa, and the idea that can be scalable to provide maximum value support to communities across East Africa. So the aim of this challenge is to identify those innovative agriculture initiatives and also provide them with a customized support, which will maximize their impact and actually potential to scale the initiative to reach more communities and more people across East Africa. So the challenge also will align the potential funders and donors to expose these initiatives to be able to be seen out there in the world, to provide attention to the urgent need of agricultural systems and transformation in East Africa. So the challenge, as you have most read in our news, also in our website, is open to East African countries of Burundi, Kenya, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda. Who is eligible and what are the eligibility criteria for the RAIN challenge for not-for-profits? So to be eligible for an application, you must meet a certain number of criteria. You have to be a nature-positive solutions that builds resilience in most vulnerable communities, places in East Africa. So your idea, your initiative, the organization that's applied for the RAIN challenge must be working in the nature-positive solutions. And it has to be building a resilience within East Africa. And it has been reaching people that are more vulnerable in East Africa. The challenge at this moment, it's open to not-for-profit organizations across the public, private, civil society, and grassroots organization, as well as academia. So this is the second round of the RAIN challenge that we've launched. The first one was launched actually last year, which was already ongoing and was targeting both for-profit and not-for-profit organization. But this particular challenge is targeting not-for-profit organization in East Africa across the institutions that I have mentioned, the public, private, civil society, and grassroots organizations. So innovative and also scalable initiatives that change the risk perceptions of investing in agriculture. So we're looking into those that actually take risk in terms of coming up with an ideas that change the norm or the known perceptions about agriculture in East Africa. So this initiative will actually change how people think about agriculture, provide solutions that are actually delivering the required resilience in East Africa and the communities in general. It has to be located in East Africa, as I've mentioned, the countries, the designated countries. The team has proven conservation and business experience. So the organization that apply for this challenge has a proven record of conservation and business experience or working in the area of resilience and nature positive agriculture, as we've mentioned. There has to be an element of gender, equity, human rights, and biodiversity consideration must be included. So in your application, if you look into the application portal, there is a certain area whereby you have to tell us a bit about how your organization is actually working on the gender aspect, equity aspect, how the human rights and biodiversity will be considered in your project that you're applying to RAIN. So the solution also must not harm or must have no negative impact on communities or ecosystem it is designed to build resilience. So it must take into account that any solution or any initiative that will be included in the project does provide a positive impact to the communities. It does not harm, it does not provide forced relocation within the communities, or it does not harm the ecosystem designed to build resilience in. And also GRP will, of course, notify all applicants about the results of the assessment phase, and non-selected ideas will still be considered for alternative promotion within GRP networks. As Jesper has mentioned, we work with a number of organizations, both local and international. And then in this particular, if the idea is not selected to work with RAIN, perhaps it has another value of matchmaking with other partners or initiative better suited for them, whereby we've mentioned we had a number of organizations over 1,300 that we're working with at the moment. The object of RAIN, as I've just mentioned, we need to surface innovative agricultural initiatives that have been assessed and rigorously selected. So we have a robust mechanism of actually assessing the applications and also select the organizations and the initiative that are viable to the objective of the RAIN challenge in East Africa. Upon selection, organization will receive a customized support to maximize each initiative potential for impact, scalability, and investability. So this includes the mentorship, whereby organization will be provided with a mentor to work exclusively on the project, identify gaps and challenges, and work hand in hand with the organization in a customized manner to provide support that will maximize the value of each initiative and potential for scalability. We also, as mentioned, align partners. So we had a network of partners, we are funders and donors that will expose the ideas to them and actually connect some of your ideas to them and provide an alternative financing or follow-up financing when the connection actually mature. And also we have to drive attention, as we mentioned, on the urgent need to transform agricultural systems in East Africa. So we understand the nature of the agriculture in East Africa from the subsistence agricultural systems to more of a commercial and more value agricultural systems in Africa, whereby smallholder farmers get the maximum value out of the agricultural work that they're doing in East Africa. Also, in considering that they are also being enabled to be resilient in terms of a number of effects that has come toward them, both natural and non-natural effects. And also to disseminate innovative resilience agricultural interventions to a wider group and partners. And from this challenge, we were able to collect a number of lessons, a number of innovation resilience agriculture interventions that could be disseminated to a wider group of partners and actually attract them to see the value in the initiatives that RAIN has unearthed and actually surface them in the ecosystem. And also the last one, to encourage further investment in and development of initiative to build the resilient agricultural system. So this is the most critical one. And actually, as the sector in East Africa grows, it needs more investment. It needs further lookout. So the RAIN Challenge initiative program aims to make sure that with this program, we are able to encourage further investment. We are able to attract further stakeholders into this initiative and also work together to build the resilient agricultural systems across East Africa. Support and funding for winners of the challenge will be, so the RAIN Challenge funding winners will be, first of all, as I've mentioned, connected to investors. We'll be providing communication support, and each organizations that will be selected for the RAIN Challenge Fund will receive a tailored monitoring program from GRP best mentors that have provided mentorship support for over 15 years, myself included, and Jesper. We have a number of experience working with SMEs across East Africa, providing support on entrepreneurship and investment readiness across East Africa. You will also have a chance to participate in Global Resilience Partnership Leadership Academy with a dedicated focus on personal development and group dynamics, since we focus on the entrepreneurs. This also is part part of the support that will be provided to the selected winners of the challenge, and they will receive this support from the GRP Leadership Academy team. You will be also invited to an investor forum. So this is where you will be surfaced, you will be exposed to the potential funders and donors. So invited to an investor forum whereby you will have a chance to pitch your initiative in person or virtually, whereby you're able to meet and actually perhaps matchmake with the different funders and donors across the globe. And also at the end, winners will receive a cash prize after the initial mentoring period and after completing the Leadership Academy process. What are the key timelines? As I've mentioned, the RAIN was launched last year at the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. The first round of application ended, and we have already a number of organizations that are working with us. And then the second round of applications was launched on 5th May this year. And this one goes up to the 30th of June this year. And after that, from the 1st of July this year, we'll be doing an assessment of the application, which will be done for at least 4 weeks. And then we'll be able to notify the selected candidates by the 28th of July this year. And as I've mentioned before, both that will not be selected will be notified, and also will actually have the potential for other support services that are provided by GRP, including linking them with the suited partners that work on the same initiative and ecosystem that they are. How to apply for the RAIN challenge? There is an application guidelines available in our website. We'll also put that on the chat so that you're able to access that directly from here. On the website, there is a RAIN application portal whereby you will be able to actually access that Google form, fill in the required information, and submit it before the 30th of June for you to be considered for this project. But also you can find more information on the website at the globalresiliencepartnership.org, whereby all information about the RAIN challenge, but also the work that GRP does across the globe is there. You can be able to access a number of materials, a number of studies that are also in our website to show you about how GRP is working on to advance the resilience in the globe, in particular at this project in East African countries. So to say that, you can also reach me directly if you have any question, if you need more clarification. My contact details are below there. My email address is there, and I'll be able to provide you with the clarity that you seek, but also answer any question that you might have regarding the RAIN Challenge Fund. So thank you. I'm going to end this presentation for now, and I will now invite you. I'll just see whether my colleague has not yet been able to join, and therefore we'll straight go to the question and answers.
I think Kritos is online now.
He's online. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I was a bit late. Sorry.
Sorry, Kritos. So without further ado, let me actually welcome Kritos to provide us with experience he has had working with GRP over the number of years, and also share some knowledge and tips about the GRP Challenge Funds. Welcome, Kritos.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gerard, and everyone, all the participants. Like Gerard said, my name is Kritos. I originally from Tanzania. Hi, Jesper. It's been so for me, the RAIN Challenge is like an opportunity to build something big. In other countries in Europe and America, they have other kinds of boot camp where they come up with ideas. But for Africa, especially East Africa, we were left behind, provided that we live in the environments of challenges. Like I myself, I was raised in agricultural family. And all these challenges, we live with them, and the challenges can come as opportunities to investors. And so I take this opportunity as youth and non-profit organizations as a link to make changes in Africa. So take your idea as a seed to changing your community, someone's lives based on different work. So I'm invited here to talk about the experience and encourage you why you should apply for this rain challenge. So first thing, as I said, that we live in the world of challenges. So the first thing that drives you is the change to transform the agriculture in Tanzania to build resilience of the community. That's number one reason. The second reason could be self-employment and employing others. So coming back to this point, I've been able to work with the GRP and through, ocean resilience partnerships with JESPA. Behind me, there are these beautiful trees. They're called mangroves. These were my passions since 2016. So we are developing the Blue Carbon project, and at first, it was just a call and a webinar like this where I attended as well. And I was very tentatively to hear and curious to ask questions on how I can be a change agent. And after that, I throw down the applications on time before the deadline, of course. And then there were rounds of, revisions, waiting. And then after that, we were shortlisted as one of the winners of the Ocean Resilience Challenge with my organization back home, Aquafarms. So basically, I'm co-founder of Aquafarms and executive secretary. And through our works in mangroves, we've been able to be announced as among the winners of Ocean Resilience Challenge, which was ORIC one. It's much more pretty the same, similar idea with what GRP is doing, Global Resilience Partnerships, more like building resilience of the coastal community, of the overall communities in the entire of the East Africa. Sorry by saying coastal, but overall. But this challenge is much more focusing on agriculture. So after applying, we went through the mentorship sessions. Of course, the mentorship sessions, they are life-changing. Even if I would say that it's not easy to get people who are expertise in business to help you frame your pitch. I think you all in East Africa, you understand most of the successful people who understands the financial models, how to create a well-functioning financial model, how to state your problem, and develop a well-ready pitch for the investors, the forecasting of your business. This is one of the life-changing skills, and when you have these, I think they last forever when toward establishing a successful company. As Gerard mentioned, that there will be also some award prize support. So with this prize support, you could start working more. I think some of you have already started working on your ideas, already have learned or have experience, or you want to pilot this idea. So it gives you an opportunity to really test and have a feeling and maybe modify your pitch for further investment and attracting more investors. So with this, we also received some money wherein we invested in our activities to draw more stakeholders, like trying to start the project. But I think having your company listed in the GRP website, as I said, is a life changing, because myself, I received emails every here and then. We've been able to gain more platforms in other networks like Climate Champions and many other big networks. So I think it gives you exposure to also network and learn more. And from this network, with your well-refined proposals and pitch, it really gives you a chance to fulfill your idea and attract much more funding to make the business more successful with the co-investors. So for me, I take this meeting with Gerard and Jesper on the RAIN challenge as a seed toward making a real change in making big businesses. As I said, there will be a leadership academy, which was really interesting. I was able to network with other colleagues who are working on their ideas, the winners, interchange. It was inspiring learning the leadership things. What are the pitfalls? What are the challenges you might encounter as you grow your business and become a leader? So I think it's very worth applying. And I wish you all the best in application, so you can reach out to Gerald. And with more information when you need from me as well, you can ask my contacts from Gerald. I hope I didn't take too much time. So thank you.
Of course not, Christos, and thanks a lot for providing your experience of working with GLP and the Challenge Fund. It is quite very insightful. And I would like now to invite the participants to just, if you have any question, if you need any further clarifications about the Rain Challenge Funds, you can now ask your question on the Q&A, or perhaps raise your hand. Please write them in the Q&A. We'll be able to read them and actually respond to the questions as needed. I will just give you some few minutes if you still thinking about the question you would like to ask. And just in the meantime, perhaps you can you can talk a little bit about the Leadership Academy and also the mentorship.
Sure.
Why we receive questions? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The Leadership Academy is about the people and the processes rather than the content. So it's focusing more on you as teams, as individuals, and so on. The curriculum we have is drawn from what you'd get if you attend a Harvard executive leadership training or a McKinsey executive leadership training, but adapted to not much adapted, to be honest, but a slightly adapted version of that, so that we can work with different projects on the ground. So it addresses the same thing: how you present yourself in a situation, how the team functions, the group dynamics. We put you through a bit of theory, but mainly learning by doing. So real exercises that you do together, and then we look at those exercises and the doing of those exercises together to sort of explore the rational part of what was going on and the irrational part, how you felt about certain things. So we address stress levels, how you change your behavior when you're under a lot of stress and pressure, which if you're an entrepreneur, you are. And I'm not saying that as someone who has observed entrepreneurs, I'm saying that as an entrepreneur myself. And then we put you through the exercises, analyze a bit more, look at things like negotiation, active listening, how good are we at actually listen to other people, and so on, with the ultimate aim of just making sure you're boosted and strengthened to be more successful. So again, it's not about the content of your projects. Then we will do a lot of that during the mentoring, but it's about you and the processes you have when you do when you try to implement your projects, when you try to plan your projects and engage with others. We also look a bit at the power dynamics between the ones trying to implement and the ones with the power, as in the money and the funding. Again, with an aim to prepare you so that when you are facing funders, and I'm 50, I still get nervous when I'm meeting someone that I need to convince to support me, right? Just preparing you for that. and also preparing you to prepare for that at some point. And then we leave you with a lot of material that you can go through at your own leisure. Some stuff that we've covered and some new stuff that you can also explore. And then after that, we always encourage everyone to stay in touch, to continue to explore. It's about building a safe space to be innovative and to be creative and also to network. And I think Kretus can probably testify to the fact that after doing the initial thing with us, there's been a few important contacts, not only outside in terms of awards and things, but also in East Africa, other organizations that they are working with now, and even supporting, as in, you know, providing guidance to, as someone who has done it already. So people will seek them out and learn from them. And I know both Gerald and Kretus said this, but that's part of it, right? So if you do this, all these other fantastic people will be there and be able to provide support and so on. It's about building that community.
All right, thanks, Jesper. We have a couple of questions. I'm going to read one after another, and I'm going to respond and also give chance to my colleague to respond to some. So a question from Janina Kabiswa. How many organizations were picked for the ongoing mentoring and leadership training winners? What type are they? NGO, NGO, or even CBOs? Yes, thanks, Janina. So we did select 10 organizations that are currently ongoing mentorship support for the Rain Challenge. And in that, we have, I think, over half of them are for-profit organizations. We have also CBO, community-based organization, and also we have a local NGO from the countries that are designated for this challenge, which is the East African countries, inclusive of Ethiopia. The other question again from Janina Kabiswa, how long are the projects? I'm looking at timelines for project cycle. Yeah, thanks. So as I've given the key timelines, the selected candidates will be announced by the end of July. So the mentorship process usually takes 3 months. And then after that, we have a leadership academy. It might be between the mentorship, but also maybe after the mentorship. And then after that, we have the investor forum, whereby we will have a pitching session for the selected participants. And after that, as we said, a cash prize for the winner. So usually takes not more than 6 months for the project cycle to be completed. Another question from Tiffy. Nice to see you all enjoying the GRP team after 2 years. Thanks, Kip. The Rain Challenge is really interesting. Could universities apply for this challenge? With this opportunity, I would like to appreciate where GRP is doing to promote small businesses in agriculture in Africa. Of course, yes. If you recall from my presentation, academia are also invited to actually apply in this challenge fund, provided that they are not-for-profit organizations. This challenge is particularly for not-for-profit, as it has been advertised and also through my presentation. Another question from Abu Wodajo. Thanks a lot for your presentation. How was the trend and the experience regarding local NGOs experiencing process and accessing? I'll just put on spot my colleague Kretus to kindly provide the response for this. Kretus, if you want.
Okay, so just to repeat, the question was about sorry, I was off a bit. The question was, can you read again? Sorry.
Let me read it again. Thanks a lot for your presentation. How was the trend and your experience regarding local NGOs' experience in the process and accessing the Rain Challenge?
Yeah, so I think if they don't have so many years, I'm not sure with Jesper and Gerard, it's they don't have so many years, but I think the more people get supported, the more the message spread. So, for instance, during the first rain challenge, to my experience is that I was approached by a number of people who they ask questions and then they apply. So I think with time and leveraging on you as participants, spreading the message, I think this challenge become more accessible to the other NGOs. So I think the most important thing is to see how different organizations they can link together based on their competence to tackle one of these challenges of the resilience.
Thanks, Kritos, for that response. Again, another question from Jacobo Para, very interesting question. My name is Jacobo Para from Wedrenew, Kenya. My request for clarification is with regards to the nature of ideas you expect from NGOs. The reading of the course seems suited for entrepreneurs or ideas that can be commercialized or used to generate business. Most non-profit organizations as ourselves are often not directly seeking to make business. Also, the leadership mentorship support also sounds like being suited for individual beneficiaries. For NGOs, our ideas are likely to be implemented amongst communities with multiple project officers, which may not be very ideal for having one individual specifically set up for mentorship leadership training. The question now comes, do you have some sample ideas from NGOs in previous campaigns? Jasper, do you want me to put you on spot for this?
Okay. I'll answer the second question first. The leadership,
Yes.
The leadership bit, of course, it's for individuals because leadership is made up of individuals, maybe one, maybe several. So if you want to reach a large community or several large communities, it's about that leadership that is required. How do you work with the communities? How do you engage with them? How do you make them part of your thrust forward to actually build cohesion, to create the space where people trust each other enough and things are predictable enough, and you know what's going on when you're having conversations. You understand the basic elements of what you need to consider when you are negotiating and so on. So it is for the benefit of the whole initiative that you have, but obviously it's going to be about you because you need to work on those things, just as I need to work on those things. Everyone needs to work on those things. So it's I hope that answers your question. So yes, it's for an individual or maybe 2 or 3 from your organization. But it is so that you, in your efforts to solve a problem, become more efficient in doing so. That's the purpose of the Leadership Academy. So instead of just providing funding for a project that has a life cycle of a year or so, and then it's finished, it's trying to leave something behind in how people are, how you and how we interact and how we work, trying to solve problems together, because that requires leadership. However you define leadership, it requires that kind of sense of direction and coordination. On the other questions, it's a good question though. On the other question, it's okay that you don't, I mean, this is for non-profits. And the purpose here is to, as Gerald was talking about, to advance and further the landscape and the context in which agriculture happens, make it more nature positive in the way it happens. And to your last question, we don't really know what ideas you have. We don't want to be prescriptive. We have in the past worked with everything from, and I'm very happy to see Kifle on the call. We worked with roads for water in Ethiopia. That can be used for nature positive agriculture. That's one example. It was a non-profit. It was something that was picked up by authorities, local government, and mobilizing local communities, making sure that it was a practice that was disseminated and used and spread to other parts of of the country, and in effect, other parts of Africa and also Asia, and I think a little bit Latin America, but Kifle might correct me on that. Also making sure that land degradation didn't happen when there were lots of rain and flash floods. Water was saved, could be used for irrigation, trees could be planted, and so on. It was complex, right? That required, coming back to your first question, that required a heck of a lot, excuse my French, of leadership, bringing all those different stakeholders together and giving them a sense of direction in achieving that. That's just one idea. It could be anything that you think of, but it has to be something that you can clearly see that this is something that hasn't happened before for whatever reason. The idea might have been there, but the implementation was wrong, and I want to do it this way instead. Or it could be that you have a new idea and you want to connect these two type of partners and make that work. Or it could be providing a platform for businesses to access certain type of information and so on. But again, don't want to be too prescriptive on this. It's if you start by looking at what the problem is that you want to solve, and that might take some time, you still have a few weeks. What could you, if you understand that problem, and this is also how we evaluate, how we look at it, do you understand what the problem is that you're trying to solve? And do you have a solution that fits that problem? And if those two things marry, like with Kretis, for example, lots of problems, lots of really good solutions, they married. If you can show that, we want to work with you. But you don't have to have a finished model or a proof of concept or anything like that. We want to see the potential, and that's what we will work with, and make the relevant connections as well. So first, Jakob, did I answer your question? If I didn't, please type again. Gerald, do you want to add anything to that?
Thanks, Jesper. I think you clearly actually handled that. And I saw Crestus. Did you have any feedback on that? I saw your hand.
Yeah. I think Jesper already said a lot. So with the NGO and bringing ideas, I think you might try to think from business perspectives, but also the most important thing is the value that your idea is bringing. I think that's the most important thing. For instance, I worked on the Blue Carbon project, and we see that there is increasing interest from many organizations and people in the world to tackle the climate. So, and then the interest is to sell the credits and support the local communities here. So I think when you just hear the idea like this, you see there's a value that is not only a business case, but also other people can be willing to invest. Yeah.
Many thanks, Precious, for your contribution in this. I think Christos and Jesper have covered quite a lot of that. And also the follow-up question, which was presented by Adamu Tefera Ribi, new innovation stated on the guidelines, what kind of innovation you mean? I think Jesper has just mentioned about that. We're looking at the innovations, the ideas that are innovative in terms of nature positive, that address the problems that we have in the community, also advance the resilience of the community. So you understand more about the community you're working with. We want to hear from you what type of solutions, initiatives you have that could address some of these critical challenges that are facing the communities. And from that point, we'll be able to assess and actually work with you. Another question from Yoshuti Lambert: how much money will you provide to the winners for the implementation? Thanks for that question. So that we don't have a specific amount that we provided. So after the mentorship, process, after the leadership academy and investor forum, an assessment will be made, particular on each individual organizations. First of all, to see the thing about absorption capacity, the type of the project that has been presented, and actually how it's going to address the scalability and everything. So that will be determined at the end of the day. I can put the ballpark amount of that amount of money at the moment, but that will be determined at the end. But perhaps Jesper, you may provide more clarity on that.
Say the last bit, it went into a tunnel.
Pardon? How much money will you provide to the winners for the implementation?
It depends. So I'm going to be quite provocative and say it depends on how much you need. And the other way of answering it is it depends on how much we think would make sense together. But obviously we have a limited amount of money. But if you, while working with us, come up with like, oh, well, this is how much we need, we'll look at that together and see what the budget that you require to do what it is you state would be. And then before that, we look at what is it that you're going to do? What's the content of your proposal and your project? And that's the starting point. So it comes from that, and that results in a number. And then we see if we can take all of it or if we can take some of it, assuming you're selected, and what else is needed. And maybe this is something that can be phased. We also look at things like how is it that you want to spend the money? These are your projects. We're not interfering with that. You really own them. But we look at what you are proposing to spend the money on. And if, for example, you're saying, well, I want $30,000 because I need to go and visit some conferences and network, we don't buy that. That doesn't really work. It's for actual implementation and what it is that you want to test. That might include a trip for sure, but not 30,000 to attend a bunch of conferences. So it depends. So that's why we're not giving a fixed number on how much that would be. But it would be enough to take you somewhere for sure. And it's also, as Kritis was talking about before, it's what that builds up to. I've been in many fundraising situations, both as an investment manager and as an entrepreneur. And I've never seen someone come with an idea and ask for a pile of money, get that whole pile of money and walk out of that room and then implement and everything's rosy and it works. I've never seen that. It's more a question of you are starting something, or maybe you've already started, and we work with you through the process of getting to where you want to be. And some of the ingredients for that will be funding, but a lot of other ingredients will be the relevant network. Who do you need to talk to, actually implementing on the ground, and so on. Yeah, a startup journey is not a linear line. Sorry, I'm done. I know we're running out of time. Sorry.
Thanks, Jesper. Yeah, we're running out of time, so we're gonna have take the next few questions and then answer them before we can cross the webinar. There was a question here. Just a quick follow-up. Is it expectation of the call to demonstrate the ability for business sense of the intervention? No, this call for application is open for not-for-profit. So basically, what we're looking here mostly is idea, as I've said, that are nature positive, but has potential for impact in the community. And also we look them in the sense of, can they be scaled? The idea can be scaled or replicated, implemented also across other areas. So that's the mostly. If you read carefully the guidelines that we've shared on the chat, but also available on our website, it clearly states what are the criteria that need to be demonstrated by the applicant. Looking at any other question, thanks Kiko, for your acknowledge of the yes, I've seen the thanks a lot. This year also Jesper, thanks. I don't see any other question on the chat that requires a response, and that brings me to the end part of the webinar, whereby thanks all of you for making time to attend the webinar. Please, the time's still there for you to submit your application. You can see the guidelines here on the chat and also the application link on the chat. We hope to receive your good initiative and ideas. We will look at them and we'll get back to you. The application is still open until the end of this month, so you still have time to log in and actually launch your application in there. With that saying, just if you have any few last words to say in questions before we close this. I know we are out of time for 1 minute, just 30 seconds each.
If you have any more questions, reach out to Gerald or me, but Gerald will know more. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Jesper. Chris. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks everybody for your time, and we appreciate you making time to join the webinar, and we're looking forward to receiving your applications. But also, as Jesper said, we are open to provide you with answers and clarification on the application as much as you can need. So many thanks, and I wish you a good rest of the day. Many thanks.